Hello everyone, ARG back with some more Franchise Hockey Manager 9. And today we have the month of November 1982 as the Hartford Whalers after a somewhat disappointing month of October where we didn't even manage to play for 500. Now, I've talked about that in the past. Playing 500 nowadays in 2023 is just not good enough. But back in 1982, that's pretty much kind of the bar that you want to hit. So we're a little bit underneath that. Thankfully, there's plenty of time to make up for it. If we remember last season, I had a really good month of November, December, and January, and that kind of propelled me into third place in the conference. So we're going to kind of hope that we see a little bit of the same thing this time around, where I'm going to have a lot of unparalleled success. We have some injuries. So Paul Coffey is still 1 to 2 months away. That one really hurts. He's the guy on the back end that I want there. Greg Teberge should be back sometime this month. The guy that we picked up on waivers turns out to be a okay puck mover on the blue line, so can always use one of those. Wolf Payment is day-to-day. That's his second day-to-day injury of this season. And now we also have my face a little bit more in focus in the middle there, so I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. I'm, in the kind of mind that who wants to look at my ugly mug. But, I think what happened is some cats might have gotten into my business and kind of moved the camera. I had it more like that in the past, and then, it kind of slanted down or something. So there you are, my face in all its glory. All right, so we are 8th in the conference. We need to do better, and I don't have a trade plan for now. I want to see what's going to happen with this month before I start thinking about that. So unless something falls on my lap, I might jump on it. Of course, we are halfway expecting the orders to offer me François Lacombe for Denis Cyr again, because they did that about 5 times by now. But yeah. All right, let's get going. And I have my trusty orange Gatorade Zero, which I love. Again, not sponsored. Oh, alright, so last month we got rid of our click, right? Now we have a new one coming because you sure as fuck can't go long without one of those bullshit mechanics to kick in. Alright, so René Robert has a great game. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Calgary Flames. Good game for Denis Savard in that same game. He had 4 assists. Charlie Simmer extends his goal streak to 5 games in that same game. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. And that was 13 straight games with a point for him. Alright, owner confidence. Howard Baldwin is satisfied with the team's performance this season to try to keep a balance between finding immediate roster help and improving the team's long-term outlook. Taking a longer view, we're not expecting to be a serious contender next season, but aren't planning on a total rebuild either. Fans are thrilled with the team. Ooh, thrilled. I haven't had the fans thrilled ever. No need to worry about your job. Replacing you is out of the question. Alright, who are the motherfuckers that are in that clique? Rob Ramage, John Garrett, Anton Stashny, and Bernie Johnston. It's always 4 players to that form a clique. It's never 3 or 5, it's always 4. Let's go ahead and intervene. Okay, so that is almost... Yeah, I'm gonna need to continue intervening here. Anton Stashny is very frustrated with Rob Ramage, but not enough to not be in a clique with him. That entire system needs a complete revamp. I know that it's like the first year that it's there, but it doesn't make any fucking sense. Fix that shit. All right. All right, so John Garrett dropped out of the clique, so that's something, I guess. All right. Hey, Kel, what's up, buddy? How are your Panthers doing? I'm sorry I didn't check Discord. I didn't see if you answered me or had questions before I fired this up. Alright, so we're about to play the Minnesota North Stars. Minnesota has a pretty good start to the season. They are 8-3-1. That's a pretty good record. And we have not played them this season. We're going to go ahead and take a look as to why they are so good. AKA, we're going to look at their lineup. Alright, so Bobby Smith is so hurt, he's not going to play. Alright, so John Davidson and that's Warren Skorodensky are in net. On D, there's Giles Artsberg, Hicks, Sargent, Marois, Maxwell, Potvin, not Denny, Smith, and then up front, Christophe, Martin, Moffat, Payne, Broughton, Casper, Nilsson, Oates, Young, Cicerelli, Fox, McAdam, and Sharpley. So Jim Fox is also hurt, not going to play. I don't know why they're keeping him there. 3 to 4 months to go. Probably should go on the injured reserve. And we saw that injury occurred like at least a few weeks ago. Oh well. Not my circus, not my problem. Oh boy, Joey Titarenko. Doesn't he have like a 1 in mental or something? I think he has a 1 in something. Alright, that's good, that's good. Alright, let's play that game against Minnesota and see if we can win something. John Davidson is going to be in net for the North Stars. John Garrett is in net for us. And of course, go Whalers, go. Alright, we start the month of November on a good note. We have an 8-4 victory at home against Minnesota. We outshot them 35-33. Matty Agman was the first star of the game. He had 3 assists. Mark Messier was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Anton Stastny was the third star with 2 goals and an assist. 9,052 people in attendance for this game. Yeah, I remember looking at Joey Titarenko and I was like, man, that guy is almost unplayable. Like, he literally does not have good stats somewhere, but I couldn't remember where. Nah, just me talking about how I fix my camera so that I'm a little bit more focused. Also, this afternoon I fixed my resolution. I should be streaming in HD now, and also my uploads now, you should be able to get them in HD if your browser supports it. So that's new. I have the streaming power to do that now. AKA I changed my internet speeds. Alright, so Anton Stastny scored the first goal of the game from Matty Agman and Bo Berglund. Then Darren Veitch from Peter Stastny and Gordy Roberts. It's 2-0 Hartford after 1. In the second period, Minnesota scored. Then Marian Stastny scored from Anton Stastny and Matty Agman. Then Tapio Levo scored his first NHL goal, a power play tally from Glenn Anderson and Mark Messier. We had a 4-1 lead for the Hartford Whalers after 2. And in the third period, a lot of scoring. Mark Messier scored short-handed from Glenn Anderson and Tommy Samuelson. Then Minnesota scored. Then Peter Stastny scored from Mark Messier and Gordy Roberts. And then Bo Berglund scored unassisted. It was 7-2 for the Whalers at that point. Minnesota did score 2 goals. It was 7-4, but Anton Stastny scored with 1 second left to go in the game from Matty Agman and Gordy Roberts. It was 8-4. We also had a fight between Rob Ramage and Brad Maxwell. Nope, that was that's the first game that I've played, so you literally missed nothing. Bernie Johnston improves at left wing, that's good. And Anton Stastny extends his goal streak to 5 games, so he scored in 5 straight games with 2 goals and an assist, as we saw. Alright, we have 2 days off, and then we're going to be in Boston to play the Bruins. All right. Bennett Wolf has been put on waivers by Pittsburgh. Doug Jarvis has a strong game for Montreal. He has a goal and 4 assists against the Devils. Mats Naslund has a good game in that same game. He had 4 goals. Charlie Simmer extends his goal streak to 6 games in that same game. He had a goal and an assist. That was 14 straight games with a point for him. Mike Eaves extends his assist streak to 9 games. He had an assist against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Dave Lumley extends his goal streak to 7 games with a goal in that same game. Jim Korn in Detroit is suspended. He's going to miss 1 game. All right. It is, you are correct. They moved in from Colorado. They used to be the Colorado Rockies, and now at the start of the 82-83 seasons, they moved to New Jersey. And a few years later, Wayne Gretzky famously called them the Mickey Mouse team. Right, so those players are getting more acclimated to the team. That's all that says. I love how you are very young, but you are very interested in the history of the NHL. Like you're always like asking questions about like players from like before your time and everything. I love that about you. That's pretty cool. All right, so lots of players on. Yep, Wayne Gretzky called the New Jersey Devils the Mickey Mouse team. Right, so Tom Webster, Mark Chorney, Chuck Arneson, Bill Ellischuk, Joe Contini, and Dan Newman have been put on waivers by their respective teams. Rolf Edberg is suspended in Washington. He's going to miss 1 game. Denis Marouk has achieved 600 points in his career. He had an assist against the Chicago Blackhawks. Denis Marouk is 26 years old, and he is a 4.5-star player. Hey, I'm happy to share the knowledge. Good game for Tony McKinney. He had a hat trick against the Washington Capitals, and that's in that game. Mike Eaves' assist streak ended at 9 games. He was held scoreless against the Detroit Red Wings. Speaking of Red Wings, Jim Korn is back from suspension. Tom Webster is back from suspension as well. Pat Boutet has a great game, still playing for Toronto in my save. He had a goal and 4 assists against the Kings. And the Kings have a trade proposal for me. Mark Marost for Stuart Smith. They have offered that a few times. Obviously, if they offered it a few times, that means I have said no every single time. And today is no different. Alright, we're in Boston to play at the Boston Garden. Smaller rink. Keep in mind, the hits are coming fast and furious. Boston is 4-7-2, so they're kind of struggling. They are 8 in the conference, right behind us. Yeah, the computer is always offering me like the same players. I actually made a joke about it before you logged in, about Edmonton always offering me the same aging defenseman for the same guy. Right, we are 1-0 against Boston this season, so we are not going to look at their lineup. We did that already. All right. Ooh, look at that. Darren Veitch playing on the first pairing with Paul Coffey's injury. That's interesting. Right, John Garrett is going to be in net for the Waiters. Paul Harrison in net for Boston. As usual, go Waiters, go. Come on, give me a road victory here. A 6-1 win, and we play above 500. Look at us. We are the big boys. Big boys are in town. A nice 6-1 victory here. We outshot Boston 35-27. Peter Stastny was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. Glenn Anderson was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Mark Messier was the third star with a goal and an assist. Alright, Mark Messier opened up the scoring in the first period from Glenn Anderson and Peter Stastny. Then Peter Stastny scored his 5th on the power play from Tapio Levo and Anton Stastny. 2-0 Hartford here after 1. Peter Stastny scored in the second period to make it 3-0 from Glenn Anderson and Gordy Roberts. Then Boston scored. Then we scored again. Matty Agman from Rob Ramage and Anton Stastny. 4-1 Hartford after 2. Then finally in the third period, Glenn Anderson scored from Mark Massey and Peter Stastny. And then Dave Poulin scored from Bill Kitchen and Marian Stastny. 6-1 the final score. Yeah, I feel like Stastny is the word I use the most now during my streams, since I have all 3 brothers playing for my team, just like the Nordiques did in real life. Oh, our old pal Byron Schutt has been put on waivers by the Islanders here. Memorable game for Kent Nilsson in Calgary. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Jets. And Charlie Simmer's point streak ended at 14 games. He was held scoreless against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Alright, so Mark Lofthouse has been put on waivers by Washington. Again, not claiming him. I have plenty of contract slots, but those guys are not worth picking up. Brett Callaghan extends his point streak to 12 games. He had 2 assists against the Rangers. Rolf Edberg's suspension ended in Washington. Stan Weir has been put on the block by the Oilers. Oh, so they still want to trade me Mark Maros, but this time they're trying for Denis Cyr, and I don't want that. No. Offer me something tangible. Alright, now we are back home. We're going to be facing the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo has a very similar record to ours. They are 6-5-2. That's good for 5th in the conference. That's how tight the standings are right now. And we are 1-0 against the Buffalo Sabres. So hopefully, back home, hopefully we have another W in the tank here. Goran Augusta is going to be in net for Buffalo. John Garrett in net for the Whalers. Give me a Whaley W, folks. Oh, we lost 3-0 on home ice. That's not good. I mean, shutouts are never good, but on home ice, they just sting a little bit more. Oh yeah, we were dominated. We were outshot 39-21 in that one. We had a bad game in the system, I guess. Jerry Corab was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Jacques Richard was the second star with a goal and an assist, and Van Buxmeer was the third star with an assist. We had 9,770 people in the stands for that one. Not a whole lot to talk about. We did have a fight between Rob Ramage and Danny Gare. Then Bill Kitchen boarded somebody, but it doesn't look like he's getting suspended. No, there were not a whole lot of shutouts in the 80s. It was like the golden era of goal scoring, like high scores usually and everything. And keep in mind, in the 80s, goaltenders were very small. Like I'm 5'10", and I would look like a giant next to a couple of them. So. Ooh, Darren Veitch is hurt. No, that's not good. Hopefully it's not for too long. Day to day. Alright, we should be able to deal with that. Alright, so Paul Mulvey has been put on waivers by Washington. And Wilf Payment is thinking about coming back. Alright, so what's the situation here? Wilf Payment still cannot play. And then Veitch is going to need to sit for a few games, so Tommy Samuelson is probably going to draw in here. Alright, Whalers are in Washington now to play against the Capitals. Capitals are having an abysmal start to the season. They are 2-7-3. That's good for dead last in the conference, 11th spot. We have not played the Washington Capitals this season. Let's take a quick look at their lineup. Right, they are fully healthy. Right, so Steve Baker and Doug Keynes are in net. That's Ed Kia, Yvon Labre, Robert Picard, Rick Green, Jocelyn Guevremont, McKinnon, Casolato, Sharon, Jeff Courtnall, Girard, Ryan Walter, Witala, Edberg, Jarvis, Dennis Marouk, Mike Gartner, Gustafson, Steve Larmer, Paul McLean, Wheeler, and Silva. There's definitely some good players, but there's a lot of... There's a big gap in talent, let's just put it that way. Lots of one-star players. Let's see if we can beat them. Jim Marthinson is going to be in net for the Whalers. Steve Baker is going to be in net for Washington. Come on, Whalers, let's go back to above 500 here. A 5-5 tie. Now, we should have won this game. You know how often I'm good with a tie on the road? That's not one of those times. We should have won this game. We outshot Washington 45-32. Jeff Courtnall was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Rob Ramage was the second star with 3 assists. And Dennis Marouk was the third star with a goal and an assist. All right, Washington opened up the scoring in the first. Then Glenn Anderson tied the game from Rob Ramage and Mark Messier. Then Washington scored again. And then Matty Hagman scored on the power play from Rick Aduono and Mark Messier 2-2 after 1. Then in the second period, Tapio Levo scored unassisted, gave us the lead. Then Washington scored 3 goals in a row there. It was 5-3. Then we scored one more goal before the end of the period. Brent Sutter from Rob Ramage and Bill Kitchen. 5-4 Washington after 2. Then in the third period, early, Anton Stashny scored his 10th of the season from Rob Ramage and Tommy Samuelson. It was tied at 5, and it stayed that way. Nobody else scored. So we have a 5-5 tie. MF Sherman has been put on the block, on waivers, by Montreal. Another one of our guys that I did not retain. Right, with payment might be back soon. Yeah, we can use it. Alright, 2 days off, and then we're back home to play against the Quebec Nordiques. Memorable night for Brett Callaghan. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Quebec Nordiques. Brett Callaghan extends his point streak to 13 games with that performance. With payment almost back. Greg Teberge almost back. I don't know why I'm trying to say it Americanized. Teberge is a French-Canadian last name. Alright. Borje Salming reaches 600 points in his career. He had an assist against the Minnesota North Stars. Borje Salming is 31 years old and he is a 3.5-star player. Memorable night for Dino Ciccarelli. He had a hat-trick against Montreal in that same game, and Wilf Payment is completely recovered. Thank you. Alright, Quebec is in town. Another team that's kind of struggling. They are 3-7-4. That's good for 10th in the conference. We have not played the Quebec Nordiques so far this season. Right, so they have Tiger Williams, that's hurt, not going to play. Michel Goulet is hurt, not going to play. Now that's hurting them. That's one of their better players. Right, they have Michel Dion and Gilles Meloche in net. On D, they have Oganson, Lacroix, Russell, Farish, Hampton, Larivière, and Rochefort. Nothing to get too crazy about here. Up front, they have Brossard, Côté, Brian Prop, Tardy, Bernier, Delanter, Leduc, Sundstrom, Francis, Brackenbury, Cloutier, Louis Slegger, and Lacey. Alright, let's see if we can beat them. Gilles Meloche in net for the Nordiques. John Garrett in net for the Whalers. Go, Whalers, go! Come on home ice. Bad team. We need a win. And we got it. A 6-3 victory over the Nordiques. We outshot Quebec 42-25. Beau Berglund was the first star of the game. He had 3 assists. Rick Aduano was the second star with 2 assists, and Brent Sutter was the third star with a goal and an assist. 9,009 people were in the stands for this nice victory. Tapio Levo opened up the scoring in the first. That was a power play goal from Mark Missy and Wolf Payment, and then Mark Missy from Beau Berglund and Peter Stastny. 2-0 Hartford here after 1. Then in the second period, the Nordiques scored. It was 2-1. Then we scored 3 unanswered goals after that. Brent Sutter from Tommy Samuelson and Rick Aduano. Gordy Roberts from Beau Berglund and Peter Stastny. And then Anton Stastny from Beau Berglund and Jay Wells. 5-1 the score here after 2. In the third period, the Nordiques scored 2 goals, came to within 2, but then Glenn Anderson sealed the deal in an empty net from Rick Aduano and Brent Sutter. That was a 6-3 victory over the Nordiques. Jay Wells and Phil Russell face-punched each other in the third period near the end of the game. Not near the end of the game, but about midway through the third period. Brett Callaghan extends his point streak to 14 games. He had 2 assists against Pittsburgh. And Greg Teberge recovered already. That would be great. Right, we have 2 days off, and then we're going to be hosting the St. Louis Blues. Oh, they were touted for potentially being a Stanley Cup contender, and look at their record. Yikes. As usual, the hockey experts are no experts. Lyle Moffat has been put on waivers from Minnesota. Anne Cote is suspended with the Nordiques. He's going to miss 2 games. Jack Hughes. Now that's funny. Jack Hughes of the New Jersey Devils, but not the Jack Hughes of the New Jersey Devils from 2023. The Jack Hughes on the New Jersey Devils is a defenseman and not as talented. Now he's hurt. He's going to miss 6 months. Brett Callaghan extends his point streak to 15 games. In that same game, he had an assist. Strong night for Ron Chipperfield. In the same game, he had a hat-trick, 3 goals. Right, we're going to advance 1 day. Greg Teberge almost back. And Tom Webster is on the block in Detroit. Right, St. Louis is in town with a disastrous 4-11-2 record. We have not played St. Louis. We're going to take a look at them. Oh, we have a few injuries here. Right, so Anders Eldebrink is hurt. Perry Turnbull is hurt. Bernie Federico is hurt. And Mark Reeds is hurt. All not playing this game. Now, Federico probably one of their best players, so he's not there. Alright, so the Blues have Don Beaupre and Mike Liut in net. They have Brownschild, Lapointe, Micheletti, Rotocalio, Svensson, Affleck, and Giroux on D. And up front they have Connor, Gaetan Duchesne, Sutter, Eklund, Dunlop, Klassen, Patey, Zook, Wayne Babich, Crawford, Crumbeen, Curry, Mullen, and Campbell. Alright, let's beat the Blues. Let's beat the Blues. Mike Liut in net for the Blues, John Garrett in net for the Whalers, and of course, go Whalers, go! Can we make it 2 games above 500? That would be very beautiful. And we did a 5-4 win here. St. Louis outshot us 40-37 in that one. Peter Stastny was the first star of the game. He had 3 assists. Joe Mullen was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Gordy Roberts was the third star with 2 assists. And 8,930 people in attendance for the game. Glenn Anderson opened up the scoring in the first period. That was his 5th of the season. And a shorty from Anton Stastny and Gordy Roberts. Then Rob Ramage scored on the power play from Peter Stastny and Gordy Roberts. St. Louis scored after that. It was 2-1 Hartford here after 1. We had a fight between Wolf Payment and Rick Lapointe. In the second period, St. Louis took a 3-2 lead, but then Glenn Anderson scored short-handed again from Peter Stastny. It was tied at 3, so 2 shorties for Glenn Anderson in that game so far. Alright, so we had a 3-3 game after 2. We had a fight between Wolf Payment and Cam Connor. Then in the third period, St. Louis took the lead. It was 4-3, but then Tapio Levo tied the game on the power play from Wolf Payment and Ricky Aduano, and then Wolf Payment scored his 5th on the power play. That was a game winner from Rob Ramage and Peter Stastny, 5-4, the victory over St. Louis. Alright, so Bill Bennett, our old pal, has been put on waivers by the Rangers, and Terry Murray as well. Rick Lapointe is suspended for something that he did in the game against us. He's going to miss 2 games. Suspension over for Barry Peterson with the Blackhawks back in the lineup. Brett Callaghan's point streak ended at 15 games. He was held completely scoreless against the Flyers. Flyers still the team to beat on my side of the standings. Memorable game for the Rat. In that same game, he had 3 goals and an assist against the Oilers. No further punishment for Jim Hamilton. He's not going to get suspended in Vancouver. And Darren Veitch almost recovered. Looks like we have a few days off. Yeah, we have 2 days off before we host the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, that was Ken Linzman's nickname. Think Brad Marchand. About the same type of player, kind of talented player, but like kind of a dirty player that nobody likes. So that was his nickname. Played for Boston as well, that I remember. He might have played for other teams, but when I started to watch hockey, he was on the Bruins. I remember him as a Bruin, but he did play in Philly as well. All right, couple days off. I'm guessing you mean Matthew. I don't think Matthew is a rat. I do think that he's dirtier than his brother, and I'm not saying that because Brady plays for the Sens. Brady doesn't really do a whole lot of dirty hits. He had a couple instances, but he's, for the most part, pretty clean. Matthew's a little bit more... Matthew is a little bit more dirty, and Keith played in a different era. He's one of only 4 players to score 50 goals in a season and get 200 penalty minutes. You have Keith Kitchuk, you have Kevin Stevens, you have Brendan Shanahan, and Gary Roberts. Those are the 4 only players that have racked up 200 penalty minutes and scored 50 goals in the same season, and they all played in the same era. So it's kind of hard to judge Keith Kitchuk and compare him to his sons, I think. All right, so Greg Teberge is back up and good to go. All right. Man, Paul Coffey still says 1 to 2 months. No. Is it because it was an injury that I needed to have him play through, or it was delayed until the end of the season? I hope not. All right. So we recalled Teberge. We're going to send down Bill Kitchen. Right, and we have another day off. And then, oh yeah. All right, so Darren Veitch on the edge of returning. That's good. Then there was a trade between Philadelphia and Calgary. Oh, that's a fairly big trade, because Craig McTavish was traded. So Craig McTavish goes to Calgary. along with Paul Gagné for Claude Larose and Dave Shan. So the Flyers have an outstanding record, and they are messing with their lineup. I don't know that it's wise. Alright, Montreal's in town. They are now 11-4-3. That's good for second in the conference. We are 0-1 against Montreal. We lost 6-1 in Montreal. Hopefully we can make it up here with a win on our home ice. Pat Regan is going to be in net for Montreal. John Garrett is in net for the Whalers. And of course, go Hartford, go. We won 6-4. Now we always struggle against Montreal, but we managed to win this one 6-4 here. We outshot Montreal 43-24. Brent Sutter was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Mats Naslund was the second star with 2 assists. And Rick Aduano was the third star with 3 assists. 9,961 people in attendance for this game. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, so we beat Montreal 6-4. Greg Teberge opened up the scoring in the first, so came back from injury, scored his first of the season there from Rick Aduano and Brent Sutter. Then Montreal tied the game. And then Brent Sutter scored from Marian Stachny and Greg Teberge. Then Montreal scored again, tied the game again. Then Darren Veitch played this game, and he scored from Matty Hagman and Greg Teberge. Wow, Teberge has a goal and 2 assists, and he's not even a star. It was 3-2 Hartford at that point. Then in the second period, Montreal took a 4-3 lead. Then we tied the game with payment scored from Gordy Roberts and Mark Messier. It was 4-4. We had a fighting major between Rob Ramage and Larry Robinson. So it was 4-4 going into the third period. Gordy Roberts scored his 5th of the season from Brent Sutter and Rick Aduano, and then Matty Hagman scored his 5th as well on the power play from Rick Aduano. That was a 6-4 victory, folks. We have beat the Montreal Canadiens. Challenge completed. I can stop. That's not the challenge. Although sometimes it feels like it should have been. Now remember, last season the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cup in my universe, and they did not lose a single game on the way. They won all of their games in the playoffs. Alright, no one could stop Mike Bossy. He had 3 goals and 2 assists against the Edmonton Oilers. Alain Côté is back from suspension in Quebec. Rick Lapointe is back from suspension in St. Louis. And Darren Veitch is completely recovered. Nah, it's a homemade challenge. My challenge is that I need to win the Stanley Cup back-to-back. Before the Whalers move to Carolina. So that's the the big item on the challenge. Also part of my challenge is I let the computer draft for me because I know the players too well, so I let the computer run my draft to make it a little bit more challenging for me. And every season I roll a random number, and the number that comes up, if I have a player that wears that number, I absolutely have to trade him. Yeah, they did, but hopefully I can win the cup back-to-back before that. That's going to be way too long if I make it in 97. That's in 15 years. You're kidding me, man. All right, so we are now in Pittsburgh to play against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are 8-9-2. That's good for 6th in the conference. We have not played against the Penguins this season. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at their lineup. All right, so they have Mickey Largy, that's hurt. Rick Keogh is hurt. And Miroslav Freiser is hurt as well. Right, so Larocque and Millen in net, then Anderson, Carlisle, Mulhern, Bladden, Doggy, Deneen, Undy, then Fraser, McClellan, Thomas, Johnson, Carlson, Bullard, Kindrachuk, Malone, Mike Rogers that I traded there last season. Dale Auerchuk, Fichtner, Chapman, Ferguson, and Hughes up front. So a little bit more talent than they used to have, but still a struggle in Pittsburgh. They still don't have the best team there, that's for sure. All right, let's play Pittsburgh. So we've been doing pretty good so far this month. We have only one loss, we have a tie, and we won all of the other games. Alright, so Jim Martinson is going to be in net for the Whalers. Greg Millen in net for Pittsburgh. As usual, go Whalers, go. A 2-2 tie against Pittsburgh. Second game in 2 nights. I still wanted that win. We were outshot 38-31. Hughes was the first star of the game. He had a goal. Peter Stastny was the second star with an assist, and Mike Rogers was the third star with an assist as well. Pittsburgh scored first in the first period, then Wilf Payment scored from Mark Messier and Peter Stastny. We had a 1-1 game after one. Looks like a few fights as well. Ross Anderson and Rob Ramage, then Kurt Fraser and Glenn Anderson. Then in the second period, Pittsburgh took the lead again, and then Rick Aduano scored on the power play from Matty Agman, tied the game at 2, and that held, and there was another fight in the third period between Horace Kindrachuk and Rob Ramage. Oh, no, that part is really not good. So Peter Stastny is hurt, so that's not good. Oof, he's day to day. I can breathe again. I'm just joking. I didn't hold my breath the entire time. I don't think I can. That's not good. I hope yours is hurt only day to day like mine. Oh, that's not good. Who is it for you that got hurt for 4 months? Right, so Peter Stastny has a jammed finger. No one could stop Danny Gare in Buffalo. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Jets. Right, and Al Cameron has been put on waivers by the Jets there. Oh, Dennis Schvidke. Yeah, I remember him. Right, we have 2 days off, and then we're going to be hosting the Calgary Flames. Mike Bossy has a great game. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Boston Bruins. And Thomas Eriksson's suspension has ended in Philadelphia. He is back in the lineup. Another day off. Oh, Gilles Gilbert, that we traded for a 7th round draft pick, has been put on waivers. And the Rangers have put Don Edwards on the trading block. Alright, Calgary in town. They are 9-9-3. We are 0-1 against the Flames this season. We lost 3-1 in Calgary. Now let's be as welcoming to them as they have been to us, which means let's beat them. Denis Heron in net for the Flames. John Garrett in net for the Waiters. And of course, go Waiters, go. Come on, let's beat the Flames. A 7-4 win. Oh yeah. We were outshot 40-33 in that game. Gordy Roberts was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Glenn Anderson was the second star with 2 goals. And Randy Cunneyworth was the third star with 2 assists. We don't see his name very often. 9,534 people in attendance for the game. Flames scored first in the first period. Then in the second period, Glenn Anderson scored from Dave Poulin and Gordy Roberts. Then Gordy Roberts from Marian Stashny and Dave Poulin. Matty Agman scored from Wilf Payment and Anton Stashny, and then Tommy Samuelson scored his first NHL goal from Jay Wells and Mark Messier. 4-1 Hartford at that point. Calgary scored, it was 4-2, but we scored another goal. Glenn Anderson scored short-handed again. Wow, that's 3 shorties in this stream for Glenn Anderson so far. From Randy Cunneyworth and Gordy Roberts, 5-2 Hartford after 2. We had a fight between Mark Messier and Paul Baxter. In the third period, Rick Aduano scored on a power play from Wilf Payment and Matty Agman, made it 6-2. Calgary scored, it was 6-3. Brent Sutter scored his 5th from Randy Cunneyworth and Bo Berglund, it was 7-3. Calgary scored another goal, but that wasn't enough. We won 7-4. Alright, so Tapio Levo and Ken Houston got into a fight as well in the third period. Oh, Balkoff is starting to feel better. Ooh, I was starting to panic here. 2 to 3 weeks now. Paul, I need you. This is a cry for help. I need Paul. It's strong game for Bill Derlago. That name, man, I always see Brad Dalgarno, man, I swear. Bill Derlago had 4 assists against the Oilers. Rick Vive has a good game. He had 4 goals in that same game. Big game for Rick Martin for the Buffalo Sabres. He had a hat-trick against the Kings. Rick Keogh extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal against the Bruins. Good game for Rick Middleton in that same game. He had a goal and 4 assists. And there was no stopping Bob Miller, who had 3 goals and 1 assist in that same game. Alright, we have 3 days off before Buffalo's in town. Oh, we have 3 games left here in November. Right, Alain Daigle and Blair Stewart have been put on waivers by the Blackhawks. Strong game for Peter Lee with the Nordiques. He had a hat-trick against Edmonton. Dave Lewis is suspended with the Islanders. He's going to miss 1 game. Dynamic passing leads to productive night for Ryo Ristolainen. He had 4 assists against the Rangers. Tim Kerr extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had a goal against St. Louis. And Peter Stashny feeling better. That's what we want. We want a healthy Peter Stashny. Oh, Randy Cunneyworth is hurt. Okay. Nobody told me about that. What are they expecting for me to do to pay attention? Come on. Alright, Cunneyworth is going to go on the injured reserve, and we are going to recall somebody. And I think that somebody's going to be Ray Neufeld. Or maybe I can get the guy that has the best record. Let's see. 12 points for this guy. Steve Thomas has 26 points. Wow. 15, 23, 17, 22, 18, 12, 24, and 24. So that would be Steve Thomas. I'm going to recall Steve Thomas. It's only for a short amount of time. He might not even play all that much, but Steve Thomas is going to see some NHL action. All right, we have a day off. Nothing happened. Another day off. All right, so Gord Lane has been put on waivers by Montreal. Mike Bossy extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had a goal against Minnesota. And Dave Lewis suspension ends with the Islanders back in the lineup over there. Right, and the Sabres are in town. They are now 13-6-2. That's good for second in the conference. They have leapfrogged the Habs. Habs struggling a little bit more this season. This is excellent. This is what I like. Give me a huge serving of Habs struggling with Habs losing on the side, please. All right. So we're 1-1 against Buffalo this season. Now last time they were in town, they shut us down 3-0. So let's enact some revenge. Peter Stastny is gonna play, but he's gonna be on the fourth line because he's playing hurt. So they're trying to manage his minutes, I guess. Goran Augusta's in net for Buffalo. John Garrett is in net for Hartford. Come on, Whalers. Let's avenge that 3-0 ugly loss at home. A 5-2 victory now. That's what I'm talking about. We were outshot 33-29. Peter Stastny was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals, injuries, fuck injuries. Rick Aduano was the second star of the game with 2 assists, and Glenn Anderson was the third star with 2 goals. Injuries be damned is what I was trying to say. English is my second language. You can't expect for me to remember always all the expressions. 9,730 people in attendance for this game. Peter Stastny opened up the scoring in the first from Rick Aduano and Wolf Payment. It was 1-0 Hartford after 1. There was a fight between Jay Wells and Jim Schoenfeld. Then in the second period, Buffalo took a 2-1 lead, and then Peter Stastny tied the game from Tapio Levo and Rick Aduano. 2-2 after 2. In the third period, Brent Sutter scored from Steve Thomas, first NHL point, and Bo Berglund. Then Glenn Anderson scored shorthanded again from Tapio Levo and Mark Macy. And then Glenn Anderson scored his 10th of the season. Guess what? Another shorty from Mark Macy and Gordy Roberts. 5-2 the final score. That's 5 shorties for Glenn Anderson in the month of November alone. That's insane. Oh no, Steve Thomas got hurt. That sucks. I just recalled him. I was so happy for him. He got a point too. Now he's out 1 to 2 weeks. Rick Keogh extends his goal streak to 6 games with a goal against the Maple Leafs. And the Los Angeles Kings really want to trade me Mark Marost for Denis Sale again. We're going to say no thank you. And now I have to take care of the Steve Thomas injury, which makes me kind of sad in my heart and a little bit in my elbows as well. That's how sad it's making me. Alright, so we're going to put him on the injured list, and then I guess we're going to recall Neufeld. Alright, we're going to go ahead and advance. We have a day off, and then we're going to be hosting the Blackhawks. Alright, Jaimel has been put on waivers by the Leafs. Mike Bossy extends his goal streak to 6 games. He had a goal and an assist against the Bruins. And Peter Stastny is on the edge of returning. That would be perfect. Alright, Chicago in town. They are 12-7-2, so kind of a similar record to ours. We have not played the Blackhawks this season. Let's take a look at what they have. Doug Wilson is hurt. He's not going to play. That's good for us because he's their best defenseman. So they have in net Murray Batterman and Tony Esposito. Doug Crossman, Ribble, Brown, Fox, O'Connell, Poulin on D. And up front they have Bully, Kerr, Marks, Sutter, Carroll, Garner, Lysak, Peterson, Ruskowski, Shepard, Bordelot, Higgins, McKegney, Mulvey, and Preston. I think we should win this game. That's how I feel. I feel like a W. I feel like a victory. Alright, Murray Bannerman in net for Chicago. John Garrett in net for us. Go Waiters, go. 5-3 victory. Alright. We were outshot 34-22 in that one, so we lucked out on poor goaltending. Glenn Anderson was the first of the game. He had 2 goals and an assist. I bet they're 2 shorties again. Not Dave Poulin, but Poulin from Chicago was the second star. Dan Poulin with a goal and an assist, and Anton Stashny was the third star with 2 goals. 10,374 people in attendance for this game, so the fans are starting to come to the arena. Alright, Chicago scored twice in the first period. They were up 2-0. We had a fight between Wilf Payment and Grant Mulvey. Then in the second period, Glenn Anderson scored a rare even strength goal there from Mark Messier and Gordy Roberts, made it 2-1 Chicago. Then Anton Stashny tied the game from Glenn Anderson and Brent Sutter, and then Dave Poulin from Bo Berglund and Tapio Olivo, 3-2 Hartford after 2. There was a fight between Ray Neufeld and Grant Mulvey, and then Wilf Payment and Grant Mulvey. Grant Mulvey got into 3 fights so far, and we're not even in the third period. Alright, and then in the third period, Chicago tied the game, and then Anton Stashny scored what would be the game winner from Tommy Samuelson and Brent Sutter, and then Glenn Anderson completed in an empty net another even strength goal, 5-3 the score. Somehow Grant Mulvey did not get into a fight in the third period. I guess maybe he got a concussion or something. Oh, Jay Wells is hurt. That's not good. Rick Aduano improves at left wing. Okay. Jay Wells is day-to-day, so we're good, I think. So let's take a look just to make sure. So, yeah, Teberge can come in. Then, yeah, we're good everywhere. Right, and we play our next game tomorrow in Boston against the Bruins. Right, so great night for Zino Ciccarelli. He had 3 goals and an assist against Pittsburgh. Rick Keogh extends his goal streak to 7 games. He had a goal against the Minnesota North Stars. And Dick Redmond has been put on the block by the Calgary Flames. Alright, in Boston, Bruins struggling 8-14-2. That's good for 10th and second last in the conference. We are 2-0 against Boston this season. Let's end the month with a win. I feel like that's fair. That's fair to expect that your last game of the month is going to be a win so that you can feel good about yourself. Jim Martinson is going to be in net for the Whalers. Paul Harrison is going to be in net for Boston. Go Whalers, go. Oh, a 6-3 loss. No, not the second loss of the month on the last game. Oh God, yeah, Boston came to play. We were outshot 47-23. That's too bad that FG is not here because his favorite player is the first star, Mike Krushelinski, with a goal and 2 assists. Valentine was the second star with a goal and 2 assists, and Barrett was the third star with an assist. All right. Boston took a 2-0 lead into the first period. Then we scored in the second. Brent Sutter from Marian Stashny. Then Boston scored, made it 3-1. Then Marian Stashny scored from Rob Ramage and Dave Poulin. It was 3-2 Boston after 2. In the third period, Darren Veitch scored his 5th from Marian Stashny and Brent Sutter. It was tied at 3. But then Boston scored 3 unanswered goals and they ran away with a 6-3 victory. Oh, Francois Lacombe has been traded to Montreal, and then Montreal put him straight on waivers. The good news is that Edmonton is not going to try to trade me Francois Lacombe for Denis Cyr again. That's very good news. All right, Peter Stashny is completely recovered. That's good. And then it was Mike Amadeo going to Edmonton for Francois Lacombe and the rights to Doug Butler. Alright, we have a few days off here at the end of the month of November. So we are, of course, going to sim that all the way. Dean Turner has been put on the block by the Kings. Bill Darlago extends his point streak to 12 games. He had 2 assists against the Flyers. Alright, and the Kings have sent Bill Stewart to the Red Wings for Jim Pavisi. A small trade. Oh, I missed it. Bruins hit me like crazy. Wasn't the game in Boston? It was in Boston. I told you, man, smaller arena, like the hits come fast and furious. That's just how it is. Alright, I do not care about your monthly scouting, so I'm not gonna look at it. I'm a terrible boss. It's like you're working and I don't care about your work. I'm not looking at it. Don't care. Miles Zarco has been put on waivers by the Maple Leafs. Bill Darlago extends his point streak to 13 games with an assist against the Kings. Top-setting Hartford Whalers jerseys for November. Wilf Payment, Peter Stastny, Mark Messier, John Garrett, and Paul Coffey. Jay Wells back soon. That'd be great. Alright, let's take a look at our guys and see how they're getting better. Dave Poulin, more stamina, that's good. Darren Veitch, more acceleration, that's very good. Sadly, that's pretty much the only roster players that got better at something. Oh, look at Brett Hall here. Getting some professionalism and acceleration. Oh, that's a lot of guys losing acceleration on my team. Right, top selling NHL jerseys in the entire league. Wayne Gretzky is first, probably makes sense. And the players of the month in the NHL were Mike Bossy and Goran Augusta. Alright, let's take a look. So we went from 8th to 5th in the conference, so that's an improvement. We're also not that far behind the Abs. We're only 2 points behind and we have 3 games on hand. So there's that. We do have a few injuries. Most of them are day-to-day, so that's also good. And Paul Coffey is not that far behind. Thank God, we need him. He's going to come back sometime in December with all of his awesomeness, hopefully. Alright, let's take a look. Let's see which teams are the worst. Worst team in the league is the LA Kings with 13 points. Let's take a look at our stats. So our best player is Anton Stastny with 24 points in 22 games. So that's we're around the point per game, but if we want to be really successful, we need players that are gonna go to 100, 110 points. Peter Stastny 24 points in 21 games. Messi 23 in 22. Glenn Anderson 21 in 22. Gordy Roberts 20 in 22. Wilf Payment 16 in 16. Then it goes down from there. Right, yeah, we need a little bit more offense, to be honest. Let's take a look in the entire league and see who is the best at stuff. Gretzky, most goals, 22 goals for Wayne Gretzky. The best passer is Mike Eves with the Islanders. Along with Rustalainen and Denis Savard. The best scorer is Wayne Gretzky with 46 points. And then look at that. Glenn Anderson leads the league in shorthanded goals with 5, all scored in the month of November. That is crazy. The vast majority of NHL players do not score 5 shorthanded goals in an entire season, let alone in just 1 month of action. All right. So that's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I am going to call this a night. I am going to start getting ready for the snoozing. I'm going to go ahead and get ready for bed. So, as usual, I want to thank you for tuning in, especially Kel here that kept me company pretty much the entire stream here. Hopefully you do better with your Panthers. Don't track up those 4-month injuries. Those suck. And I will be back eventually. So, yeah. All right. So, ARG out. Peace out, folks. See you all later.